Hey, and welcome to another episode of Disney Dust. It's DisneyDwayne here, and we're going to be talking about the live adaptation of Snow White. This stars Rachel Zegler as Snow White and Gal Gadot as the evil queen. Now, I have to say, I did have my doubts about it, looking at all the controversy and everything else, the comments that she's made, everything's come under fire. The dwarves were changed from real life people to CGI dwarves. And, a lot of people are questioning, why do this? So this is the first ever animated movie that Disney has made. It actually started the whole chain of animated films, and it even started the concept of what an original soundtrack is. And so I would think, you would give this a lot of thought. I'm going to delve right into what I thought about it. I don't think there are going to be any spoilers because this stays quite true to the original, except that when you're having, a live adaptation of an original animated classic, it brings that reality in, right? And when you bring something to real life, you would expect that it creates more depth, and also it creates the opportunity for more depth. Because there are things that start to become, questionable. Like, for example, where does the evil queen come from? They don't even delve into that. It's a little bit disappointing that Gal Gadot's evil queen is such a caricature. Honestly, I felt it was two-dimensional. And we don't even know where she's from, like I said, but she does have magic. And how, in some ways at all, magic works in this world. I don't see also how Snow White, became the servant, almost Cinderella type girl that she became. Nothing points to any kind of household servants in the castle. All the farmers just became guards. Did they lose their memory? I don't know. It was like hit and miss. Sometimes I feel like I didn't catch certain things, like how did Jonathan escape from the prison cell? Things were happening a little too fast, or perhaps because I had, even though so few people in the audience, people were talking and chattering, and so that was also not a pleasant experience for me. However, yes, where were the servants, and why? How did she end up cleaning up dishes and stuff? Also, how did anyone allow it? How did she allow it? How did Snow White allow it herself? And also, this is the other thing, the word fairest, obviously in the casting process, people pointed out, Rachel Zegler is of darker skin, and that's not the issue. The issue is the term in the story says, who is the fairest of them all? So we're obviously thinking about the shade of one's skin. And in some interviews, Rachel says that being fair now has a different meaning. And so I was expecting this whole play in the movie, but, fair was never redefined. And so I could only take it to mean, fair, just, right? But even then, when the queen asks the mirror who is the fairest of them all, she seems really shocked by the answer. And I'm supposing that this is the point where the answer has changed from her to being Snow White. Now, how does a queen with that behavior in the first place, with this definition, be the fairest of them all? And why wasn't Snow White the fairest in the first place? Did she just come of age? And if not, then surely someone else could have been the fairest person. So this is just, things like that bother me. Like, you really have to make sense of a movie, and especially when it's not in the animated form, it just even begs the question even more, because when it becomes real life like that, you question things differently, right? That's just how it works. I also remember that Rachel Zegler has mentioned that she sort of was saying that the prince here is not going to save the day. And true enough, they don't have a prince, right? They have a character that's the leader of the brigand squad, and it's like a Robin Hood character. But somehow in the movie, like the guy, Jonathan, actually does take an arrow for her, and he is still that person to kiss her, to wake her up. So he kind of does save the day. So I don't see anything new happening here. So my expectations were all kind of like made based on what was told to me, and I feel a little bit cheated that way. I don't know how you feel about it. That's how I feel. So he's not a prince, and although he's more like a Flynn Rider type, right? But did anyone else think that Dopey, who we end up, who ends up narrating it, and we do realize that only at the end, kind of sounds like Josh Gad. I thought it was Josh Gad for a moment. And speaking of similarities, also Doc kind of looked like Alan Menken. Did you think that? Sorry, Alan, but like I really truly think he kind of looks like Alan Menken. Anyhow, so the dwarves did look a bit CGI to me, even though I was quite impressed when they zoomed in on one of them during Snow White's sort of deathbed scene. His face looked really realistic. It carried so many great emotions. And I just thought they could have done better in applying that reality, that realism, to the rest of how they look, how they move. Maybe I don't know what made it look CGI, but there was something about it that wasn't authentic. Especially when you put another dwarf type person in the same scene as the dwarves. So the brigands, within the brigands, there is a dwarf like actor. So it's all pretty confusing and convoluted that way. It's sort of very, I would say the whole thing in general is inconsistent, because the songs were great, like the Queen's costume is great. Opening song was wonderful, and we wanted more of that. But after Waiting on a Wish, the catchy tunes that we know Pasek and Paul deliver kind of didn't quite hook me. Until maybe the duet. The duet was just really beautiful. So I'm not sure, the original songs being in there was a good idea either. Of course, that defines Snow White, but at the same time, I feel like the style with Pasek and Paul is so different that it didn't provide a very cohesive sound at the end of it. It was like a disjointed soundtrack, and I didn't feel the songs connected to one another quite well that way. So yes, these are all my thoughts. That's quite a bit of it. What did you think? Feel free to add or lend to these comments, or provide some of your own in the comment section below. This is DisneyDwayne, and I hope you enjoy discussions like this. Follow me for more videos, and give this a thumbs up if you like it, and tell your friends about it. Have a magical day.